Welcome back to another episode on the Metal Verbalizers podcast. This podcast is for you that want to discover new fantastic metal. We feel that there aren't enough podcasts to support the underground scene. That is why the whole purpose of this podcast is to find new and/or smaller bands and tell you about them. In this episode, me, Erik, is finally back verbalizing again, and in this episode we're going to talk about a band that has more progressive sound and is very diverse. If you want to know more about the how, why, when, and more, join me in this episode. This is Paranoia Church. Perfect. All right, I'm sitting here with Bruno from Paranoia Church. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the space.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming, I think. It was like 3 years ago that you contacted us the first time.
Yeah, 2 years.
When you released your single.
Well, at least the first single was 2 years ago. Like I started writing I put the song out like pretty much like a month after I started writing it, and I started writing it in August 2023. So 2 years ago.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So this has been a long time coming, and we have, of course, had our eyes on you.
Thanks, man.
But I usually like to start off to talk more about you rather than the project, Paranoia Church. So where did everything start with for you? How did you get into start playing music and such?
Yeah. Okay. Again, like as I warned you before we start recording, I talk a lot. So if I'm like going way too long, just let me know. But music was always like a very big part of my life, like growing up, like through my parents and through. I was consuming a lot of media through like TV and radio. But I would say that there was always a lot of music in my household, like from my dad. There was just a lot of like classic rock stuff. I would say mostly like Beatles and Stones, but a lot of Pink Floyd and some Queen as well. And my mom was very much into like what was going on in the 80s. So there was a lot of like Information Society, George Michael, and like all this kind of stuff. So I grew up with like pretty much like very deep into like both sides of my parents, I would say, like musically speaking. And then in the early to mid 90s, we started getting access in Brazil, which is where I come from. I've been based in Canada for the past 10 years, but I'm from Brazil. And I would say like around 94, 95, we started having access to MTV Brazil. And that's where I just started like discovering a lot of my own music. And then everything that was on TV at that point. So I would say a lot of Ramones, Skid Row, and like Bon Jovi, and whatever was available on their like top 10 for the week. Around 1998 is when I discovered metal, and that's when everything changed. So awesome. 1998, I went to a record store. I had some friends in school that were like very much into Iron Maiden, but was listening to something that was completely different. So it was kind of like, I'm not sure if I want to get close to that like weird shit with a monster on the cover. But one day I went to a record store when they still have those, and I grabbed Fear of the Dark, and literally on the first second of Be Quick or Be Dead, I was hooked. I was kind of, oh my God, my life just changed. So a month from there, I was already like getting my first CDs, and I got my first guitar, and I started my first band, and I started writing my first song, and that's pretty much like I would say when everything started. So I would say that even though that's like far from my favorite even Iron Maiden album, it's one of the pivotal like moments in my life was the first seconds of Be Quick or Be Dead on Fear of the Dark. So that's where it all started.
Awesome.
For real.
Yeah, well, my life changed a lot in 1998 as well.
What was your first album?
It was the year that I was born, so.
Oh, there you go. Oh my God.
So it changed a lot.
Kind of like 15. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, 98, 99 was probably like the pivotal like moments in my life of shaping my personality as an adult, as like my own self, and like musically speaking.
Awesome. What made you want to start your project or band, Paranoia Church?
Yeah, so as I said, like I got my first guitar in 1998, and I started my first band right away, even though I didn't know a single song. But I never did not have a band when I was living in Brazil between 1998 and 2015, which is when I moved to Canada. So there was not a single weekend where it was not part of a band. So I always had my own bands. I always had my own projects. Um, but there was a lot of like I played a lot of cover, even like I had my own like songs here and there as well. But after I moved to Canada, I went back to get a second graduation here, and you're getting adapted to the new country. You're learning the language. You're starting from zero. So I moved away from like music in a pretty significant way. Like still like an avid music consumer, but as like playing guitar or playing in a band, that just like changed very drastically. And 3 years ago, I had my first kid. So I have a 3-year-old
Oh,
daughter. Yeah. And life
awesome.
becomes even like more complicated. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I tried to start like a couple of bands here, but it was just like very hard for me with between like work and family to keep
Hmm.
up and have time to do that. But when I first reached out to you guys, which was like second semester of 2023, I was like months away from turning 40. And it was also pretty much my like 25th anniversary of like since I got my first guitar. And one night I was just like having a hard time falling asleep. And I had this thing in my mind, oh my God, I'm turning 40. It's been 25 years that I've playing guitar very poorly. Like when you say that you've been playing guitar for 25 years, it seems like you're like an amazing
Yeah.
musician, but I'm not. I never took
I know the
lessons. I'm like
feeling.
totally self-taught.
I'm the
um,
same. I've been playing guitars for the last 15 years or something, but I am definitely on an intermediate level.
yeah,
I've actually
I can say
built a
that.
guitar as well, which is
Oh,
awesome.
seriously? So you're probably, I would say you're probably already like ahead of me. And I would think that your intermediate level is probably more advanced than my current level after over 25 years. Um, but yeah, but I had this epiphany that, oh my God, like I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm turning 40 and I have nothing that would serve
Mhm.
as like a testament of this life of this side of my life. Because
Yeah.
I feel that my life, like I have many things that are like make like who I am as a person. Right? I'm a father. I work. I don't work as a musician. That's my hobby, my passion. But I felt that, you know what, I need to have something that will say, you know what, I can uh, encapsulate this side of me with
Hmm.
with something that I will leave behind, even if just for myself or for my daughter. Right. So I had that night the idea that, you know what, I will record, I'll write and I'll record an album. It will be an 8-track album, just like the classic Iron Maiden albums.
Hmm.
And that's how it's go. That's what I'm going to do. So by the morning, I already had the idea for the name of the project. I had already had a concept for what the first song will be about. And at the end of that week, I had already like the first demo of that. And that was it. And that was
Yeah.
pretty much my quest to write and record an album.
Awesome. Speaking
Yeah.
of the name there, how did you come up with the name?
Yeah, so the name is kind of like a little recycle in the sense that
Hmm.
when I was about to leave Brazil for, I would say pretty much between 2003 to 2015, I had a band back home that was called Walking Back to Hell, which was like we played a lot of covers, but we had a couple of songs that would be like a mix of, I would say, Motorhead and Iron Maiden,
Hmm.
Podiano era, but in Portuguese, and they were all about like alcohol. Um, but when I was about to leave Brazil, I wanted to start a kind of like a traditional heavy metal band in the wave of the new wave of traditional heavy metal bands that's like coming out to the players. And I had a really hard time finding a name that wasn't taken. So I came up with Paranoia Church because we
Hmm.
had this thought that, okay, let's maybe like I was reading something about like the Salem witch trials at that point. I was kind of like maybe like let's write a concept stuff about like the Salem witch trials, and I thought the Paranoia Church will like be a good fit for that. And when
Hmm.
I decided to start the actual Paranoia Church, the first name that I had for it was actually Ruin Bridge, which is like a part of the lyrics of Come to the Sabbath, like Merciful Fate.
Hmm.
And I just thought that it just sounded really weird to pronounce. And I spent like a few hours brainstorming and see if I could find something else. Everything else was taken. It doesn't matter how ridiculous it was. But Paranoid Church wasn't.
Yeah.
But you know
That's
what? Oh,
actually
just
that's
that
actually
aside.
hard to find these like one or two word, short and snappy, memorable names,
Yeah,
because
it's
most of
impossible.
them are already taken, and
They are.
a lot of them there are like 5 or 6 different projects or bands that have the same name. Uh,
Exactly.
because that's something that is interesting with last.fm, for example. When you search for bands there, you actually sometimes get a notification like 6 other bands has this name. That kind of
Exactly.
blows my mind.
And especially if you go to the more I don't know, predictable side of things, like we
Yeah.
have a very classic band from back home that actually dates from like the late 80s. That's called Dark Side. But can you imagine
Mhm.
how many dark sides you have out there,
Yeah,
right? Uh,
a
so
ton.
so yeah, so
That's not just 5 or 6, I would imagine.
right? Yeah. So you have Metal Church, you have other things, but you don't
Yeah.
have Paranoia Church. And I thought, okay, so maybe that's a side. Maybe I can keep this name. And the other thing as well is uh I didn't want to like a name or like a word that will be hard to pronounce in non-English speaking countries like Brazil. So
Hmm.
Paranoia Church, it's like the worst you can say in Portuguese is Paranoia Church, which will be pretty close. So that
Yeah,
was
that's
like another thing
good
as
enough.
well.
Like,
Like good to pronounce in whatever language like you
yeah,
speak. Yeah.
awesome. What would you say is the main influences to Paranoia Church? Because I think that it is so hard to like pinpoint a genre where Paranoia fits, because it's such a wide variety of influences that I can hear, at least.
Yeah. Uh, would you mind if I ask you to name two of the influences you think that you can hear
Oh,
without like wanting to put on spot?
I can't think of a like particular band necessarily, but like some of the guitars I can hear some thrashy stuff, and then of course you have that old school 80s metal stuff.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
more of a genre thing that I hear. Then I heard in some songs you have like trumpets and even a saxophone in one of the songs.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah. So that's the
something.
thing.
That was
Like
something
you
that
think
I
it
was
was.
like, hold on, this shouldn't work, but it actually works. What?
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel that my again, I'm not a good musician at all, man. Even like playing events for like so many years. Um, I never had that much. I guess that because at the same time I was a very shy and nerdy guy growing up, and I guess at the same time that I got my first guitar, I also had met my first girlfriend, and I started like making friends, and I started going out, and I started going to concerts, like underground concerts, and I was like into so much of like my blooming as a teenager that I was not one of those guys who were just like in my
Mhm.
bedroom like playing for hours. I wanted to go out. I wanted to see people, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I never became really good at my instrument. And my whole thing with like bands, I was always the worst musician, but I was always the leader of the bands. I will
Okay.
put the band together. I will come up with the name. I will come up with all the concert posters, and I will have a singer, but I will be the front man. I will announce the songs. I will do backing vocals totally out of tune.
Hmm.
I would like just like rock on the stage as much as I could. That's like I wanted to leave the experience, right? And the same thing with even like with Paranoia Church, even though write the songs, like when all the really complex guitar solos you have there, they're like guests, they're like friends, right? And their drummers would do like a way better job at actually uh, writing something and recording something that will make better sense than my horrible first initial reference. And same thing with the singers, right? But I like to put the project together and
Hmm.
like wrap it up, right? So I like directing the thing. I like the production
Yeah.
part of it. But I would feel that my biggest quality is that my repertoire is very vast. So I listen to
Yeah.
a lot of music and I listen to a lot of different things. And I grew up on a lot of different things, right? So I
I think
literally
that
have,
clearly shows in the music, really. Just as I said, there are thrashy influences, there are uh, classic old school heavy metal stuff, and there,
yeah,
like the saxophone from that actually fits and makes sense in the music. And I
I'm
think
glad you
that's
say that.
awesome.
Yeah. So I would say that like speaking about like influences specifically, definitely my main influence like composition wise, I stylistic will be King Diamond and
Yeah,
Merciful Fate, right? And when I
the
first
legend.
started the band, yeah, and I just like I love it so much, man. And when I first started Paranoia Church, I was trying to fit in, right? So I
Hmm.
was kind of like, even though I love a lot of the new wave of traditional heavy metal stuff, I don't like a lot of it at the same time. I don't feel that we need to have like the production that sounds a little like too old school. If you can make it sound a little better,
Yeah.
I don't like when the vocals are just like all up there all the time, or when things are too speed metally, like every single song. But I was trying to fit in because I thought there was a market there. And then I
Hmm.
was like, in the beginning, I was like, okay, well, I will write traditional heavy metal. And I was just looking at those bands like Enforcer and Ambush and like all those guys are making like some noise out there. But my influences are not those guys. It's the Merciful Fate and the Iron Maiden, and the Judas Priest and Accept and
Hmm.
Metal Church. And the first three songs, which are not like in the order of the album, A Little Dream of You, Sister, and His Private Shock Machine, they are a little more on that direction.
Hmm.
Annihilator, a little bit, which is like more on the trashier side. But then after I wrapped up these three first songs, I was actually having a little bit of like an agenda conflict with the guy who was recording the vocals. It was kind of like, we'll do the same singer, the same drummer.
Hmm.
I'm doing everything else. I mean, invite a friend to do a guitar solo, but it's a traditional heavy metal band on the veins of Merciful Fate, Iron Maiden, like just like mixing those influences. And then after I was having like this schedule conflicts with the singer, and I was just like so anxious to like put the songs out because I was like waiting for him to record the vocals for this one, but I already have the
Hmm.
next one ready, and I'm starting to write the next one. I was kind of like, I want to put that out,
Yeah.
and then it opened to me the possibility of what if I start working with a different singer. And
Hmm.
that's what when I was like writing Hello, which is the one that has the two vocals, the female and male, like doing a duet.
Hmm.
And then I was kind of like, okay, but that was a dialogue, and what get like a girl to do the dialogue with the guy, and then I would go to a completely different like idea. And then when they were like doing the vocals, and I was like, I would try to put like this lead guitar under that, but I was finding it familiar, and after a while, I was kind of like, "Oh my god, that's pretty much the guitars of Shout by Tears for Fears."
Hmm.
So I went from Merciful Fate and Annihilator to Tears for Fears,
Yeah.
right, and a female vocal,
Yeah.
and that's when I had the epiphany. I was kind of like, you know what? The biggest advantage of this project is I am the only person that's actually part of it, so I can do whatever I want instead of
Hmm.
putting myself in a box that I don't even really want to be in
Hmm.
because I feel that that's not even my scene. um, I would just do whatever I want. And then the
Yeah.
song after this one, Back to the Ocean, I never started putting those like Hammonds, and then that's when you have the trumpet and the trombones for the
Hmm.
first time, and you have that little bit of like an electronic beat before the vocals come in, and then I brought in a vocalist that sounds a lot more like a Peter Steele from Typo Negative than necessarily Halford or whatever. And then the project just became like a whole bunch of different things. So
Yeah.
you will see that there's influences from like those traditional heavy metal bands, but you also have stuff like Tears for Fears. You have like 80s like synth pop, and you have some things I still like from honestly some of the contemporary jazz bands even that I like. Not necessarily on the trumpet or the saxophone things, but
Hmm.
there are some things that I'm doing that I'm kind of like you probably will not know when I say you, not you specifically, but people will not know because it's not that clear. But I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm stealing this from Snarky Puppy, like this contemporary jazz band, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm stealing this one from Aurelian, which is one of my favorite bands, which
Yeah.
is new prog. That's going to be farther from Merciful Fate. And that's pretty much like what I'm doing. I'm just using it now to do everything I want instead
Yeah.
of having like 18 projects. I have one project. I do everything I want. A lot of people don't even consume albums as an album anymore. They just like take whatever you put out like an 11 song album. People like one song, they put on their playlist and they forget the rest of the album. So I'm just making every song a full experience for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a very long answer, right?
Yeah. But that's perfect.
Sorry, man.
How do you go about more like writing when you do your albums? You say that you want to do a lot of stuff, but do you like choose a theme for one album, or how do you go about that? Or do you
Yeah,
like pick and choose a little bit from here and there?
I would say I now pick and choose. I would say that the first, like when I decided that I would do the Paranoia Church thing again, especially after deciding that I would use it in Paranoia Church, I thought about bringing back the whole idea of doing the concept album about the Salem witch trials,
Hmm.
which again I feel that will limit me conceptually speaking a lot. And the first song is kind of like about that, a little dream of you. Um, but then after I finished the first song, I was kind of like, you know what? I'm putting myself in trouble here. I'm not sure if I will be capable to write a concept album. So
Yeah.
I might as well jump off this boat now than write three songs and not know how to like continue the rest. So every
Yeah.
song is kind of like its own adventure. But I would say that in the beginning, they were following pretty much like a horror theme, you know, like
Hmm.
kind of school, especially because of my influence from King Diamond theme. And then I just branched out to speak about different things. And I feel that I evolved as a songwriter, like
Yeah.
since the first four. So Back to the Ocean is about like Solaris, but it's about like something that was a very personal thing that I experienced when I was younger. Uh, that just inspired me to write a song about that 20 years ago. And I ended up never doing that. I did it now with Back to the Ocean. Um, to the Wolves Come Home, that gives title to the album, is about my daughter and about my
Yeah.
relationship with my daughter.
Hmm.
Neptune in October is about the vanishing of my generation. It's just seeing my parents aging. It's seeing myself aging. It's seeing my idols or my culture pop
Hmm.
influences um, dying one by one, and it's just like it's a mix of nostalgia and um, I don't know, and realization of that. So I will say that VS for Vulture is about my view on religion and politics. So I would say that I evolved after the first four from the horror theme to just like speak about different things I want to talk about,
Hmm.
or give different spins to things that I consume, like in a book or something like that. So I'll say that that's that. So there's not like a concept necessarily for the album, but I will feel that the my voice as a lyricist, it's kind of like becoming more I don't know, uniform in the sense that I can see myself in all the lyrics. Like, yeah, they are all kind of like written in a similar structure, on a similar
Yeah.
way, or with a similar level of uh, um, what's the word? Uh, Symbolism, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I think I like that because even though a concept album is awesome, when you have a full idea, I think that it can be good to be open, if you know what I mean, and like be ready for influences when they come, and they can
Yeah.
come from anywhere, like you said, from your daughter or from a book or anything like that. I think it's awesome that you can be able to be open uh like that and not limit yourself too much. So I
Yeah,
think that
thanks,
is
man.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I
uh
appreciate that.
yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about the image? How do you think when you like created? How do you how does your mind go when you create your like album covers or like logo and all of that stuff?
Yeah. So in the beginning, there was like a lot of like this like I would say probably 30s, 50s, and 70s like horror movie
Yeah.
posters aesthetic, right? I really like that. But something that I do a lot, both on like the visual side of things, and that comes like since the logo and the artworks to uh, the title of the songs as well. I just like the contrast. So I like it that that's like a metal single, but that the colors that you have on the cover are pink and purple and baby blue
Hmm.
and yellow, right? So that's why I
Yeah.
always like to
Yeah.
use like a lot of pink and like this kind of like imagery. I just feel that there is like the use of like kids in the artwork just like gives us like a eerie vibe that we don't have that much anymore, but it's something that we had a
Mm-hmm.
lot, like in the 80s, like growing up with movies like Goonies and
Mm-hmm.
E.T., and that people are these days like
E.T. is a good
reliving with
one.
Stranger Things, right? Yeah, and Stranger Things is doing that a lot. So I just like this whole thing about like kids in the basement and like something supernatural happening. But that I try to go away from like the blacks and this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that that's how I developed something that could be a little more personal. But yeah, it's a lot of like yellows and baby blues to cause like some contrast, right? And if you look at the title of the songs, it's like "Sister, a Little Dream of You," right? Instead of
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, "Flaming School from Hell" or "Beer Drinkers and
Yeah, yeah.
Hellraisers."
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, but
Like,
yeah.
how would you like visualize the band if it were to come into a stage setting and actually playing live?
Um, I would say that if I was to do that, it would be really challenging just because the singers are so distinct
Mm-hmm.
and some of the songs are so complex. Even the guest guys who are doing like guitar solos, like they have such different styles that it would be hard for one guy play the other guy's like
Mm-hmm.
solo. But I would say that the ideal if I was doing this like in a band setting would be to have like a single 5 piece or like a 6 piece band if you are to include a keyboard player to
Yeah.
do some of the keyboards and some of the horns, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably do it with one singer doing like all songs, and
Yeah.
there would have to be a guy that he will not mind the voices. I would prefer if he will not mind the voices at all and have its own unique take, but someone that will like sing uh, all songs.
Yeah.
I probably want to play the bass because it's easier. The fact that I recorded all the guitars, it doesn't mean that I can easily just
Yeah.
play them all.
I
Like
know
one
exactly
thing
what
is
you
like
mean.
what I'm writing and recording. The other thing is like playing it, like standing up from beginning to end. So maybe I will do the bass.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
The two
exactly what you
guitars
mean.
play. Yeah.
It is the same for when I do my vocal covers and stuff. It's like, yeah, I can do it in the studio,
Yeah.
but I have
That's the
no
thing.
idea what it would sound like in a live setting.
I
But
would love
yeah,
to listen to some of your vocal covers, man. I would love if you can send it my
yeah.
way. Yeah. Yeah.
I have one or two on my Instagram, but I think that
Cool.
since I used the original band in the background for one of them, I think the sound got blocked,
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, if
Uh,
you have the videos, I would love to,
yeah,
to check them out. Yeah.
I can send it over to you if you want.
Yeah, I would
Uh,
love to.
but yeah, what can we talk a little bit more about the future for Paranoia?
Yeah.
What is up and coming? You have just released your debut album.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Honestly, um, as I said, it became a kind of like a bucket list thing, or
Hmm.
or like a how I like to call it, like a midlife crisis, one man studio project. I was like about to turn 40. I was like, fuck, like I need to record an album. It's my
Yeah,
version of like plant a ladder, plant a tree, write a book, right?
yeah,
Record an album. And I wanted to do the thing like for real and have like
yeah.
CD, right?
Awesome.
And then I have the vinyl, so I can say even if no one buys it, I'm kind of like, yeah, I have a vinyl. I recorded an album. I have my CD on my shelf. I have my T-shirt. I have my everything, and I live the cycle. And I talk to people like you, and I share it,
Hmm.
and people listen to the song, and I live a cycle of writing, recording, and
Yeah,
releasing an album. So I would say that probably that's kind of like ticked from my list in the sense that I'm not sure if I need to record a new album, which I probably will at some point because even this one was kind of like a compilation of
yeah,
singles. I released the singles throughout like 2 years, and at the end of it, um, I wrap it up when I release the last single, the eighth song. I wrap it up as an album, right?
yeah,
So probably if I continue like releasing music at some point, I'm kind of okay. This became an album. I
yeah.
have 8 songs. That's an album now, but I don't feel that I need to put out like an actual physical CD again or a vinyl again.
Hmm.
Just the demand is so little. So unless someone like a Nuclear Blast or like Century Media wants to like sign me, probably will be stressful and annoying. I probably hate it because it will put a lot of pressure on me. But this will not happen anyways.
Yeah.
But then in this case, then I made up with like another CD. But I thought that after closing the cycle, I would take a break from the project
Hmm.
because again, with work and family,
Yeah.
there's very little time free to be my own self, that I'm not absolutely exhausted. And all this free time for the past 2 years, it's been working in one way or another on Paranoia Church, like on
Yeah.
the artworks, or writing lyrics, recording, finding the right singers, promoting, doing social media. Um, and it's very exhausting. So I was kind of like, maybe I need to take a break so I can read, I can work out again, I can, I don't know, spend time with my family, catch up on some shows. But I already have ideas for new songs. I have a full, like, the lyrics for like a new song ready.
Yeah.
Was working on the artwork last night. I have already titled for 7 other songs, and I already have
Nice.
like I'm starting to play with the idea for
Yeah.
the one after the one that I haven't even started like writing instrumental yet. So what I feel is probably after the cycle is over, and I feel that like I got what I needed from the album in terms of
Mhm.
like people listening to it and like some people getting the CDs or whatever. I will start working on the first of those songs,
Yeah.
and I'll put it out as a single. Maybe I'll do a little less effort in the whole promotion sense, so I can balance that out with my personal life a little better than I've been doing. And I will just like, I will guess I will continue like putting out some singles. But in parallel to that, there's a guy in the US that has a project that's similar-ish in format to Paranoia Church.
Mhm.
It's also a one-man band, and he also worked with like people doing his drums, vocals, and guitars. And we have been like following each other for like the past couple of years in the progress of our projects. We're kind of like, maybe we should like split some of the costs we have at producing those songs and do like a few songs together. And
Why
then we can,
not?
because everything, yeah,
Yeah.
and everything costs money, right? Like, don't get me wrong, all your like areas and advantages that you have, like this guest singers, they're all paid. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how big Tobias Sammet is or whatever, right? He is paying all those singers. So other than the friends, the guitar players who recorded the solos, if you have a guest singer, it's someone who got paid for it. Or so you
Yeah.
have a guest drummer, right? So we are kind of like, yeah. So maybe we could do like a split EP with like 3 or 4 songs, and then we split the costs with like drummer and
Yeah.
singers, and we put it out as
Yeah.
like a nice thing for us. So that's in the works. We have one song that's ready, just like waiting for the vocals and to be mixed. And we already have like the beginning of a second one. So that's an idea too. When I have more details that I can share, and then I will let you know.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, are we ever gonna see Paranoia Church as a live band?
Uh, I don't know. I will not say that that's impossible. I would say that probably the demand is very little. So I'm not sure if it makes sense to like put the effort of like getting people who will get nothing from that, because that's all my music, right? And
Yeah.
especially if I get people and the people who recorded the album, they are all over the world. So probably if I'm doing something here in Toronto where I am, it will be probably with people that didn't take part of the album at all, and
Mhm.
they will be just playing my music, and there will be no financial return to those people. So I'm not sure why would they want to do that, unless they really love the songs.
Yeah.
Um, and I just don't feel that there is the demand for that here. So I feel that my best case scenario is when I'm back in Brazil visiting family and friends. If people want to do that, and then I can have
Yeah.
my friends actually learn and rehearse the songs by
Yeah.
themselves there. And then when I get them there, just join them and we play, I don't know, 5 of the songs live, opening to like a local band. I'll say
Yeah.
that that's the best case scenario. Again, unless Nuclear Blast or like Century Media or whatever, like
Yeah.
sign me
Well,
up.
Nuclear Blast are they work a lot with smaller bands, so hey, it's an option. And I
Oh,
think that the music is great, so it would be awesome to
thanks, man.
see it in a live setting as well. But hey, we're closing in on the end right now. We're with our podcast. We're on like sort of a quest to like prove one thing wrong, and I want to hear your intake on this as well. Is rock or metal dead?
There's no way. Like last year,
Yeah,
first of all, 2024 was one of the best
yeah,
waves in metal releases in a long, long time, probably since the 80s, right? Like the amount of,
definitely.
I'm not sure what's your like preferred genres within metal and rock music. But among what I like, there was just like an infinite amount of great releases. I tried to have like a top 10 for the year. I couldn't. So I made it a top 20, and then I couldn't. I made it a top 30. Like the best I could get was a top 45. Top 45, and I left some albums out, right? So no, I feel that this year is a little slower. Like I'm not really like loving a lot of stuff that's coming out this year, but there's just so much music coming out. And I'm talking about like big bands, right? Big bands and bands who are signed, who have projection. But one of the best things about like Paranoia Church is that like my social media of choice is Instagram. And I just met so many other underground bands and projects like the one that I just told you about, like this guy in the US. And the quality of the songwriting is so great. And the quality of the recordings of some of those bands is so like awesome. There's so much like underground music being done in Brazil right now. There's so many bands here in Canada doing underground music. That's just like, that's fucking awesome. There's no way, man. People are just not putting the effort to listen to new music.
And that's sort of what we want to prove with this podcast. That there is an infinite amount of new bands that are up and coming, which is just so awesome. And the quality of the debut releases are so impressive. It's like really, really high quality. So I think it's awesome.
So I'm with you on this one.
Totally. But hey, that's pretty much everything I got for you. And it has been absolutely amazing to have you on.
Thanks, man. I appreciate, again, the interest, the space. I know that I could talk a lot. Some of my answers can go like all over the place. But I appreciate what you do for the underground scene. And
thank you.
And thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
That's been great talking to you. And have a good one.
Videos of your vocal covers.
So, if it sounds like you might like this band, do not hesitate to go and check them out. If it is not what you usually listen to, go and give them a chance anyway. You might find something new that you will enjoy. I find new bands and kinds of music all the time when we do this podcast. And most importantly, if you do like this band, make sure that you support them in ways that works for you. Easiest ways to support them is to follow them on their social medias. It is very easy and it is completely free. Of course, I would like to encourage you to buy their music as well, and merch, because that is one of the absolutely best ways to support them. If you like what we are doing here on Metal Verbalizers podcast, bringing you new metal to enjoy, don't forget to follow us on our social medias as well. This way you will get updates on what bands we are going to verbalize next. And maybe have a band in mind that you would like us to feature. Don't wait to tell us about them. We always take suggestions in consideration when we plan our episodes. Did I mention our YouTube channel? There you also have a video version of tour stories and all episodes in season 4. You do not want to miss this. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to Metal Verbalizers podcast, Verbalizing Paranoia Church.